Well, welcome back. I'm Alfred Weber, and this is ExopoliticsTV, and we're resuming part 2 of our second interview with Tolek, who is a Earth human representative to the Andromeda Council. Welcome, Tolek.
Alfred, good to reconnect with you again.
You know, and when we left off in part 1, we were just beginning to talk about, and I was begin to cope about, as I suppose a lot of humans are going to begin to cope about, the issue
Change on Earth.
Yeah, the issue of Tacoma. And as I understand it, correct me if I've got the concept, we have Comet Elenin coming in. This is part of an intelligently designed, I would call it, architectural upgrade to our solar system.
Well said.
Yeah, in a way. And
well
which
said.
is now getting a second sun. We're going to be a binary solar system. And that second sun is a brown dwarf called Tacoma, Tekoma. And it is now coming in convoy, intelligently designed convoy. And leading the convoy is Comet Elenin, which has a tetrahedral type device on it that is a protection from various forces in order to ensure its smooth entry. And trailing behind Tacoma, cloaked at the moment for certain social purposes so as not to alarm the entry-level inhabitants of planet Earth. By entry-level, I mean entry-level into universe society. It's cloaked at the moment so we can't see it. And it will be assuming an orbit. It'll be entering our solar system at the Pluto level around mid-October 2011, and at some time, which we don't know yet, it will be decloaked and it will assume an orbit between Venus and Earth. Is that
correct.
A fair summary?
That's correct. And it will be parked, if you will, in this new orbit, in its new home here in the solar system. Yes, between Venus and Earth, but much, much closer to Venus than to Earth. Then, as an example, I believe we were talking about what Tacoma would look like in a nighttime sky.
Right.
Think about the fact that for any of us that live on the North American continent, if you've got good weather and you walk outside and you've got a clear night sky, you can look up and see this little, maybe it's the size of a pinhead of light called Venus. Well, if you have a celestial body called a brown dwarf putting out pale orange color, and it's the size of the planet Uranus, parked pretty close to the planet Venus, then perspective-wise, you're going to see not much of a difference. It's going to be a little bit bigger. In the daytime, and I think we were going to start talking about this based on the end of our last conversation. In the daytime, you would see it as an orange, about the size of an unused eraser on a pencil. You know, the eraser head of a pencil. About compared to the sun, it would be at about 4 or 5 o'clock, throwing out its own orange color and about the size of a pencil eraser head. Perspective-wise, size-wise, that's about how big it would be. And in the nighttime sky, it'll look sort of brownish, orangish, pale color as well.
Right. So something like that.
Yeah. So it's. I think as I mentioned last time, I originally had thought I was going to be seeing a planet in the night sky like the size of a dime or something. No, not the case. About a pencil eraser head will be about as big as it's going to get. And what they did was they gave me two visual images, a snapshot of what the Earth sky would look like at night with Tacoma in it, and a snapshot of what the Earth sky would look like with Tacoma in it during the daytime. And again, during the daytime, Tacoma is going to throw off definitely orange light as compared to the yellow-white light of the sun. And prospectively, it's going to be located at around 4 to 5 o'clock on a clock, if the sun were a clock face. So in the lower right-hand corner. And Tacoma, and I touched on this real briefly, and I know it's worth discussing. Tacoma is going to be bringing with it a planet also, and it's the planet Niia. That's its name. And it's size-wise, Niia is, as a comparison, it's about the size of Pluto, but a little bit smaller, and it's bringing a really small moon with it.
Okay, we'll get into the new planet in a second, but I wanted to get also what the Earth's daytime sky will look like with Tacoma.
Okay, well, it's if you, as an example, if you look up at the daytime sky, you'd see the sun. You'll still see it throwing out its large yellow-white light. Tacoma, as a brown dwarf, and as its own body of light, will be throwing off distinctly orange color.
Right.
And again, it will look about to be the size of an unused pencil eraser head.
Right.
And it'll appear like at 4 or 5 o'clock, like to the southeast, in the daytime sky. So people will see it. People will see it in the sky, and it'll be throwing off a distinctly orange color as compared to the yellow-white of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're getting into this new planet. So there are a lot of bodies that are sort of coming in.
Yeah.
Now, Niia, that sounds like a Native American term, in a way. Or
it certainly does. I know that.
And Tacoma sounds like a Native American term. It's close to Tacoma.
You're right.
Tacoma.
They both have Native American sounding names. They certainly do. I know that Zoltar, the planet that he is originally from, and I'll take it from top down order. He is from a star system called Tegeta, which is located in the Pleiades constellation. Tegeta is the sun, and the planet that he is from is called Dakote.
Uh-huh.
That same star system has the planet Era and a couple of other planets. And Era is the planet that the star woman Sannyasi is known to be from. In any case, what I've learned about Dakote, where Zoltar is from, is that Dakote is the home planet of origin for the people, the indigenous people on the North American continent.
Oh.
For most of them, at least for those people west of the Mississippi River. So that's probably why the names that he's assigned to these planetary bodies have decided Native American names to them, of Tacoma and Niia. Yes, they decidedly sound very Native American.
So, do we know what orbit this new planet, Niia, is going to take? I mean, well, it's smaller than Pluto, but will it be in the outer orbit around Pluto, or have they mentioned that or anything?
Well, Tacoma, as the brown dwarf, is going to come in to our solar system and park itself between Venus and Earth.
Right.
And Niia and its accompanying small moon will travel on the journey accompanying Tacoma and will do so. It'll accompany Tacoma as it settles into orbit in the area around Venus. Again, because they're going to settle in closer to Venus than they will the Earth. So you'll have Tacoma, the new brown dwarf orangish star in our star system. You'll have Nihohia, the planet, and its own moon, all clustered together.
Oh.
So you'll be able to see those together in the night sky also. You know, when you look at a night sky from Earth.
Will Nihohia orbit around the sun or orbit around Tacoma?
You know, I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. What I have learned in prior discussions about the sun is that it throws out great magnetic waves of energy. And so the sun will do what it needs to position Tacoma and Nihohia wherever it's supposed to be according to its own evolutionary blueprint.
I see.
But that's as much as I've learned about where they're going to be located, essentially in orbit in the area of between Venus and Earth, but much closer to Venus. And so you've got the brown dwarf, a planet, and its own little moon. And relatively small. You know, they're, again, the size of Uranus, the planet being the size of Pluto, and a little teeny moon next to it.
Now, just kind of an observation from what you just said, the business of celestial mechanics and kind of bringing in, you know, binary suns here and additional planets and moons there, it seems like that is a far cry from conventional astronomy. That is about as far a cry from conventional astronomy as you could get. And if you had a room full of conventional astronomers and you brought in this tale, they would die of apoplexy or laughter, and I'm not sure which. Correct?
You're probably right. But aren't those some of the same guys that every once in a while listen to the theory about, well, for some reason, we've learned that there's enough particulate matter on the moon that tells us the moon ain't from here.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from this solar system.
No,
and
right.
that's got to make them go,
Yeah.
Well, why is that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying that if and as this scenario gets played out, there are going to be so many minds on this planet that are going to be stretched out of their comfort zones that it's going to be like incredible.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, especially when they learn that this little planet about the size of Pluto called Nihohia has people that live in it. It's got people that live in it. And that is a fascinating story unto its own.
Okay.
That I'm sure would stretch those scientific minds.
Yeah, well, tell us.
Okay. Glad you asked. Actually, it is. I find it a fascinating story, and I'm chuckling because when they were showing me this planet and they were showing me the people, I'm like, this planet has people? And they're like, oh, yeah. And they were showing me what these people look like. And I was amazed. I didn't expect this information. I just didn't. So I'm like, okay, so there's a brown dwarf star coming. We're going to have a binary solar system, and it's bringing along a planet with it. Yep. Okay, well, there are people on this planet? No, not on the planet. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So there are humans living under the planet's surface in underground cities. They are third-dimensional humans, just like we are. Some people are what we would consider to be Caucasian-looking, and the other half of their race are soft, pale blue-skinned looking people who are they're the distant cousins of blue skin heritage that was first written about in the oldest texts of ancient India. And so you've got a Caucasian looking race and this soft, pale blue skin race that have also intermixed. So you get two races. And they told me that, interestingly enough, a person from Earth, from the Hindu Kush region of India, today, speaking Hindi, would in some manner be able to speak with these people. I understand they're very calm. Excuse me. They're very calm, harmonious people, peaceful people. They're also highly evolved. They absolutely do not fight among themselves, and it's their destiny to come to this solar system, to evolve into the fourth dimension, just like we on Earth are going to. And it is their specific role to help Earth people with our own multifaceted transition as we migrate and transform into this fourth dimensional energy. So it's a fascinating story. You know, we on Earth are gonna learn about the reality of extraterrestrial people who actually have a heritage with the people from India on this planet, and this is one of those. It's their evolution to come here and settle into the star system because they've been traveling throughout space and the cosmos inside this little planetoid for about 100,000 years. And they've communicated with all sorts of beings from all sorts of civilizations along the way. They have never caused any problems, and they're going to find themselves a new home here in the solar system. And relatively speaking, not that far from Earth. So it's a fascinating story. It really is.
That is amazing. Now, there are a number of other names that have come about. One is that of Nibiru. And there's been great confusion. You know, people said, oh, is Elenin Nibiru? You know, and now people are saying, well, is Tacoma Nibiru? So what is Nibiru, and what's the relationship of Elenin, Tacoma, and Nibiru?
Well, this is a big gear shift, and I too, I live here and I work every day of my life just like everybody else does, and you'd almost have to be buried underground not to hear about all of the press of Planet X, the Destroyer, Nibiru, Elenin, and everybody's getting all excited about all of them. And now there are rare people who understand distinct differences, and I think I've laid a couple of them out tonight. I asked the question, I'm like, okay, guys, what's the story with this thing called Planet Nibiru by any other name? What is it? What's the real deal? And here's what they've said. They've said, yes, it is a planet. It's about the size of Jupiter, probably a little bit bigger, and it is trailing somewhat behind Tacoma and Niia that we've just finished talking about.
Right.
So yes, it is a planet, and it is large, and it's at least the size of Jupiter, probably bigger, and it is trailing somewhat behind Tacoma.
Now, we've just learned that Niia is inhabited, and these are people who, in a sense, have been through a lot of lessons. They're third dimensional like us. They'll be coming into our solar system and to participate in our, quote, ascension, end of quote. That is dimensional transition to the fourth density or fourth dimension. So I can see a lot of interactivity or, potential learning.
Oh, I think so.
Between,
I wouldn't, just as a reference point, I wouldn't at all call it ascension.
Yeah.
And this is just my own take. I
Okay.
think that this whole process, and we can certainly diverge here, but I believe, and certainly based on what all of my Andromeda Council contacts have told me over this past year of time, is that this is much more of a simple transformation. It is much like it is Tacoma and Nihohia's destiny and its evolution to become part of this solar system. It's also simply an evolutionary period of time that this solar system, including planet Earth, go from being a third-dimensional body and a third-dimensional solar system into becoming a fourth-dimensional solar system with aspects of life that are consistent with fourth-dimensional life.
Right. Now,
it is definitely a transformation.
Yeah, that is a very key distinction. And I'm very glad that you brought that up, because I personally have always been uncomfortable with the word ascension. Number one, because it has many religious connotations, going back to some of the world's large religions like Catholicism, which talk about the ascension of Jesus, for example, and then would ascribe that process to the process that the Earthlings are going to go through. I've always seen this more as a dimensional shift of a transformational nature that you're describing. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. And again, my contacts in the Andromeda Council have used their own words, but I think the only possible comparison that you could use for ascension would be, do you step up from the number 3 to the number 4? Okay, sure. As a reference point, yeah, I think people with a logical mind could say, yeah, the number 4 is higher than the number 3. All right, that makes good sense. But it is decidedly a transformation of vibrational energy from a solar system that has been vibrating at a certain rate with certain, and I'm not a scientist, but with certain density characteristics and mass characteristics, and it's going to be vibrating faster and higher, and it will have, and any life in the fourth dimension simply has different aspects to it than life in the third dimension. Is there life? Absolutely. Does it have, as an example, human life? Absolutely. Does it have physical shape and form? Absolutely. Do they have families, get married, have kids? Absolutely. It's just a different vibration. And there are other aspects that we can go into in another period of time, but I think it's important to point out that this is not, at least based on everything that I have learned, this is not about some benefic ascension that has a lot of religious overtones. It's just not. It's about evolution and transformation. That's it.
I'm very glad, I'm very happy that you raised that, and that there has been communication in that regard, and that's fairly clear. Now, getting back to Nibiru, is that an inhabited planet?
Yes, it is. It is. The planet Nibiru, it has such a bad rap, and quite honestly, I don't know enough about all of Nibiru's history, so I'll tell you what they've told me. Yes, Nibiru has fourth dimensional people living on it. Nibiru's people became fourth dimensional within about the past 2,000 years as we would measure time here on Earth. They would be known to the people of Earth as the Annunaki. But here's the kicker, which was above and beyond what I knew. In reality, the people of Earth call the Annunaki, they're just a small portion if you will, a small clan or a small group of people out of the total majority. And the total majority of the people of the planet Nibiru are called the Nibi. And so it's sort of like, well, it's sort of like if somebody said, here comes the planet French, thinking that everybody on the planet spoke French and they lived in France. The Annunaki are just one small culture of people, one small culture in a large group of people called the Nibi. And all the Nibi are from planet Nibiru, and they're fourth dimensional.
Right. Now, there has been a lot of lore about the planet Nibiru entering on a periodic basis, some say every 3,600 years, and that with the coming of the planet Nibiru, it's like Nemesis, it's the destroyer. It's like, it's horrible. The Anunnaki come with it, and, we get demoted, we get disenfranchised.
We get enslaved, right? Yeah. All sorts of bad things are going to happen to us.
And then also it's confused with Nemesis, with a destroyer. What is going to happen in terms of Nibiru? Is it going to enter the Earth's solar system at all?
As a person, as somebody who communicates, I really like to, keep things simple and boil them down to their essence. So I simply ask the question, all right, guys, what is going to happen in terms of Nibiru entering Earth's solar system? That was the question I asked. Anyway, nothing. Nothing? I said, nothing. Nibiru will not enter Earth's solar system. And I said, okay, can you tell me why Nibiru won't enter Earth's solar system? Sometimes it's like pulling teeth with these guys. And they said, well, sure, glad you asked. He said, we've taken a stance on behalf of the people of Earth and the people of Nibiru, we being the Andromeda Council. Mm-hmm. We've negotiated with the people of Nibiru to not interfere with the planet of Earth. And part of this negotiation, we as the Andromeda Council, we've secured the help of fifth dimensional beings. They are in one-dimensional level, higher than we are.
Right.
To use their own fifth dimensional technology to push the current trajectory of Nibiru and its moons to literally pass far over the top of Earth's solar system. So instead of coming down and entering into Earth's solar system, and it's apparently Nibiru is as a planet is huge, it's bigger than Jupiter, it would cause a lot of problems. Yeah, so it's not even going to enter our solar system. It's going to literally pass far over the top of Earth's solar system. There will be no cause and effects, no Earth changes caused from Nibiru passing over the top of Earth's solar system, none. And I said, well, what will it be like? And they said, on Earth, you would feel as if a gentle breeze would be blowing by. That's about it.
Well, this, if and as this occurs, this is an historic intervention. I see this as an historic intervention by galactic governance councils using, multiple dimensions, multi-dimensional means to intervene and to inhibit a predatory influence, the planet Nibiru and its inhabitants, from coming to Earth at this time. That's just my
conclusion. Absolutely. There's a lot of backroom discussion that I didn't address, but it essentially has to do with, you know, what they're talking to the people of Nibiru. You know what you've done to these people in the past. You know how you treated them in the past. Look what they're going through there right now. We've already stepped in to defend this planet and its people from years of manipulation and occupation by the reptilians and greys. You are not going to touch these people. And we'll tell you what, since you're fourth dimensional and you can't change the trajectory, we're going to help you. And this will help you because your planet won't get messed with, it won't wobble, it won't experience its own earth changes, and you're going to go on your way, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, fine. And you know, I'm comprising a lot of conversations, but that's the essence of it. It's like, listen, these people are having a hard enough time. They're going through their own transformation. They're going to become sovereign for the first time in their lives in thousands of years. You are not going to mess with these people. And we're going to help you go over the top, and you're going to go on your merry way. Thank you very much. I'm speaking off the cuff, but that's pretty much how it came about.
Wow. Well, this is historic, but this looks like, I mean, this is mind-boggling. To me, this is mind-boggling that this much change, which is now being cloaked, is happening in this short a time. I mean, we're talking about things that will start happening in 5 weeks from today, and today is September 9th, 2011. Now, let me ask you this. When is Nibiru expected to pass over the top of the Earth's solar system?
Right. You know that it's behind Elenin and Tacoma.
Right.
So to answer your question, Nibiru, I'd say it's projected to pass over the top of Earth's solar system approximately, and I don't have a hard fix on this, but late November to mid-December, like the third, fourth week of November to somewhere during mid-December 2011, and probably closer to mid-December. But again, here we sit on Earth, and they've said this because I asked them 3 times. You heard us, right? Okay, yeah. To Earth's solar system, it will only feel as if a gentle breeze would be blowing by, nothing more. So Nibiru is going to be a non-issue. And again, mid-December, roughly mid-December.
So there will be no Earth changes or disruptions from the passage of Nibiru over the top of the Earth's solar system.
That's correct. No cause and effects from the passage of Nibiru over the top of Earth's solar system. Not through it, way over the top. Think of a building. If we're on the 3rd floor, Nibiru is going to be on like the 15th or 16th floor.
Right.
You can wave at it going by, but there's going to be no cause and effect.
Okay.
And I certainly know that that's different than what a lot of people are waving their hands and they're yelling about, but this is what they've told me. They're like, Nibiru is going to be a non-issue.
Okay. Now, let's go back to what we started the program with. Or toward the beginning of the program, I snuck in the fact that on today, September 9th, there was a 6.4 earthquake in the Pacific Ocean, 25 miles off the coast, British Columbia, right across from Vancouver, BC, where I sit now speaking to you. And so that's certainly, that could be a premonitory quake. We don't know. It's certainly it's the upper part of the San Andreas fault system, I was told by a geologist expert. And these are all interconnected.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now, if all these planets all these celestial bodies are coming in now, and we're having all of this change occurring, and the Andromeda Council's biospheres, or their large kind of technological planetoids, are at work protecting and buffeting our planet so it will not feel the effects of any possible changes due to the celestial bodies. We have heard of many possible Earth changes coming. And we don't know that to be the case, but certainly there's a lot of talk about it. There's been some evidence about it. I know the first book that I wrote in 1974 was called The Age of Cataclysm. And that was about a whole series of worldwide earthquakes that would occur right about the time that you and I are talking about right now. So, what's the primary cause for these possible Earth changes?
I think to reference the reference I made in our last conversation, or at least earlier, about this sort of being a time period of cosmic chicken soup.
Right.
There's a whole plethora of things happening, like you said, all at once. You've got the sun that is throwing out a lot of discharged energy, because it's we're looking at a highly active period of highly charged magnetic energies that are being put out by the sun. We have our solar system itself, as it's about to enter the galactic equatorial plane zone. We have the core of a black hole, which has a lot of highly charged magnetic energies in and of itself, which kind of whip around the outside edge. You've got all of this, like I said, it's kind of like a cosmic chicken soup of highly energized frequencies that are all buffeting the planet and the solar system at the same time. And they're all projected to cause magnetic disturbances, resulted in a literal increase in agitated vibration of the planet Earth. And in entering the fourth dimension, you have higher vibrational frequencies, whereby Earth and the solar system will vibrate at for the foreseeable future, at least in a few thousand years. So I guess the point that we're coming to is how bad, or for lack of a better word, how catastrophic will all of these Earth changes be? I know, quite honestly, I'm not a prophet. I can't see the future. But what they've told me is the following. As you said, because you've listened to me, there are a number of Andromeda Council flagged biospheres which are projecting their combined force fields around planet Earth and some other planets to minimize as much as possible the agitating energy of all of these energies that are hitting us all at once, including the heightened vibration of the fourth dimension. And it really remains to be seen how severe or not the agitation of planet Earth will be. Will we get a lot of earthquakes? Will we get a lot of seaquakes? Seaquakes would be more damaging because there would be tsunamis or walls of water or tidal waves. I don't have the answer in terms of how bad the damage is going to be. And you know what? Quite honestly, neither do they, because we're still a month out from the October event. And this is, like you said, this is cosmic evolution. And what they're going to do is they're going to do their best to envelop and protect planet Earth so that there is as minimum as possible agitation and disruption to the planet. Now, that having been said, they have still said the following. In order for Earth to evolve, it must adjust, and it must become balanced again. And in order for Earth to become balanced again, the shifting of Earth's crust must happen to put the planet back into alignment. And I know what they're talking about because we've discussed this a number of times, as in me and them. They're talking about what we now know as the equator. If you back up and look at the Earth through space, we have an area of the planet which we would consider to be the equator, and it has a west to east orientation. What they're talking about when they say the shifting of the Earth's crust must happen to put the planet back into alignment, what they're saying in effect is the Earth's crust, the outer crust of the Earth, will need to rotate from an east-west orientation, like from 9 to 3, to a north-south orientation of 12 to 6. So to have an example, we would look at the United States and Canada, and today they both have like an east-west reference. When this shift of the Earth's crust occurs, the United States and Canada will now have a north to south reference point.
So in Vancouver, Canada, on the west coast, I will be in South Canada.
That's right. That on the coast, but you will be on the south coast of the Pacific Ocean.
South coast of the Pacific Ocean. And,
right.
and if I want to visit the north, I would go to North Canada, which will be Halifax and the Montreal area.
That's right. That's right. You might want to consider buying some palm tree seeds.
I see.
But yes, you're right. You will be a new south coastal town and city.
Do we have any concept? So this is about this is a 90-degree kind of shift.
It's a 90-degree shift.
Yeah.
And again, clock face, think of 3 o'clock rotating to 12.
Yeah. Now, did you ever get into discussions of the time frame for this?
Good question. Okay. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I've written about it before. I know it's on the website. They said a few things. One, they've said that this shift will not happen all at once.
Oh, okay.
Good thing.
Yeah.
You can imagine, think of the water in the bathtub analogy. What would happen if you picked up one end of an independent bathtub and tipped it all at the same time? Not a good scenario. And what they've done is the same way that the combined force fields are protecting planet Earth from the agitation of various magnetic and other energies, and that are buffering the planet, they're using these same force fields to reduce the speed of the rotation of the core of the Earth. So instead of it going from 3 to 12, clunk, it's going from 3 to like quarter 3 to 2 to 1 to quarter 1 to 12, over about a 1.5 year period of time.
Well, that's still pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of normal geology.
Sure. Let me double check my own notes so that I don't contradict myself. Let's see. Here we go. The changes are to occur 2012, December 2012, full strength, through March 2013, when the final rotation of the 90-degree shift of Earth's crust happens, when present-day equator moves into its new north-south orientation.
So this 90-degree shift, which will be clockwise, right? It goes
counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, because think of 3 o'clock moving to 12.
Okay, good. So then counterclockwise from December 2012 to March 2013. So in about 14 months.
Right. And
no,
so
more than that. See, 12 plus 3, 15 months.
Right. You have, keep in mind, and I'll take this slowly, one step at a time, for the both of us, and actually for everybody that's going to listen and read this. You have Earth as part of this solar system And I'll set aside all the other stuff. We'll just talk about it entering this galactic equatorial plane zone, which is where this fourth density energy resides. And it permeates this whole area. So we're entering fourth density, fourth dimension energy. The movement of our planet in the solar system into this fourth dimensional energy, which we're to some degree in already, will go through the end of 11, all throughout December of 2012, and the final rotation of the 90-degree shift happens mid to late March 2013. So the east-west becomes the north-south. Now, the vibrational frequency change of how much percentage are we a third-dimensional planet as compared to becoming a fourth-dimensional planet in a fourth-dimensional solar system, these changes will continue throughout 2013, the winding down of the cycle in October of 2013, and the completion of this cycle in December of 2013. So you have this whole series of events leading to the completion of a cycle, December of 2013, and it's expected the Earth will begin to settle into its new, brand spanking new fourth dimensional, fourth density vibration existence, January 2014.
So this is both a hardware and a software upgrade. I'm just using your.
Yes, to use my computer industry speak. Yes, I'm not a hardware guy. I think the best I can do is probably.
This is just so mind-boggling that if I try to get into the reality, here we are on September 9th, and we're speaking in our, everything we have ever known in my Vancouver, BC, West Coast. An earthquake just happened 25 miles in the Pacific, but
yes,
and over the course of the next 24 months, a new brown dwarf sun with a planet with really advanced third dimensional beings is going to be on there.
Well, they don't find among themselves.
Yeah.
They are advanced.
They are really advanced.
Yeah.
And not only that, but 24 months from now, I'm going to be like, on the beaches, but like Hawaii type of weather.
Yeah, how about that?
And we're going to be in a fourth density now.
I'm glad you said that. May I interject for a moment?
Yeah.
And this is a new piece of information that came to me 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Part of, this is about as new agey as I'm going to get, part of Mother Earth, if you will.
Yeah.
Because people speak of Earth as a feminine entity. Part of Mother Earth adjusting and finding her new center of balance again is the fact that there will no longer be, at least according to the gang upstairs, there will no longer be, and here's where my science is iffy, is it a 23.5 degree tip of the whole planet that we're off? We don't have a direct north-south orientation. We're off by like 23.5 degrees.
Yeah.
And I don't understand or claim to know all the science of how this happened, both what's been told as compared to what the reality is. But in any case, that off-axis of 23.5 north-south orientation will no longer be.
Right.
It will be a planet that is oriented 12 to 6, up and down, 0 to 0. And therefore, here's the therefore, the whole of the planet, in addition to being a new fourth dimensional planet, will be a planet of relatively temperate and comfortable temperatures year-round.
Oh, that's good.
So much for the seasons, because you no longer have this 23.5 degree tippage.
Well, welcome to Vancouver, BC.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, sure, I can.
And that's a great thing.
Yeah. Now, so it looks like really, I'm seeing this thing going back to the beginning of our interview in part 1, and I really urge any viewers who have just joined in part 2 to go back to part 1 to really see this. We are getting a major, if this is true, and I'm assuming that journalistic caveat, which is part of the hats that journalists can wear, we can question, and yet we can maintain the caveat of this is a conditional acceptance, because this is radical change. This is the most radical change that I have ever heard in my life.
I would ask that as independent, sentient beings, and we all are. We all came here with a brain that is functioning to one degree or another.
Yeah.
I would ask everybody, certainly listen to what I have said, take it in consideration, and you reference when we were in school. Do your own homework. Do as much research as you want. Prove what I said, disprove what I've said, but do your own homework. That's the bottom line. Learn as much as you can, as much as you want to. The facts will prove themselves out or not as time evolves. As we come to this time of October and then December. But in reference to my friends on the Andromeda Council, they've been very patient with me, especially when I ask questions 3 times at least, sometimes 4. And they've been nothing but courteous. Always, always courteous. And I found that they've never pushed away any questions. They've always been very, very direct. Now, they'll only answer the question I'm asking, which puts me on the hook to ask more questions. But they've never avoided any question that I've ever asked. So I certainly feel comfortable that they are who they explain themselves to be. And I'll take this moment, this somebody that is interested in all the things that Alfred and I have been talking about. If you'd like to read about all of these things that are going on, you can do so at the Andromeda Council website, and it is simply www.andromeda, ANDROMEDA, and then the word council, COUNCIL.com.
Yeah, and coming back, I mean, what we've learned this afternoon and what I've been able to grok in parts 1 and part 2 of the interview that Tolik and I are now conducting is that we are in for a major, intelligently designed upgrade, a hardware upgrade that's bringing in a binary sun with a planet populated by highly intelligent people that themselves are ready to go into the 4th dimension that we will have a lot of synergy with, that we Earthlings will have a lot of synergy with, because they do not have the same degree of internal conflict that we have. And coupled with that, over the next 24 months, readjustments at the geological area, such that a shift in the axis, which other scholars have told me has been responsible for and has been an artifact of that internal conflict. So that not only has the weather climate shifted on Earth with that 23.5 degree angle, but that's where a lot of the conflict comes from the catastrophobia that has been built up on this planet from the various celestial occurrences that led to that.
Yeah, they decidedly told me, they being my Andromeda Council contacts, have said that in addition to this new 4th dimensional energy vibration and the relative peace and calm that you as a human race will experience, that life is just going to get a lot easier on planet Earth because, again, it's going to come back to center again. The poles need to be aligned. There needs to be, and the movement of the crust, if you will, again, from 3 to 12, will rebalance the planet. That's the best way to say it. It's going to rebalance the planet, reorient the poles, and it's going to be on center again for the first time in a long, long time. It's going to be a brand new life for people on Earth in many, many ways. Many ways. So what you're saying is true, Alfred. Very, very true. We're looking at a planet that, because of the lack of the 23.5 degree off-axis tilt, will no longer experience seasons. You're talking about a planet that's going to be relatively temperate, pretty much all around the planet. I would think, with the exception of the far places like the two poles, but I won't know. We'll find out when we get there.
Right. Now, once again, when you're having fun, time flies, and we're at the end of this segment, of this 1 hour segment. However, we would like to invite you back on a special program where we will talk about life in 4D and what that shift, which seems to be kind of the core reason for, or from our point of view, from consciousness point of view, why all this hardware and software upgrade is happening, is so that the end user, to keep it in computer terms,
Sure.
can have more fun at their terminal.
Well said. Well said.
I am just trying to keep this thing user friendly, so I can wrap my head around it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I interestingly enough, when I started my career, I think, like a lot of people, or like at least some of them, they spend some time in tech support. I also spent a lot of time training people, and I trained some of the earliest generations of people who were having to put down their pens and their papers and look at a computer screen for the first time. And there were a lot of people that ruffled their lives. And I'll bring this to center. What I try to do always, whenever I communicate, is to try to make what can be some very comprehensive or complex issues and boil them down to some of the most simple things that we deal with in everyday life. And that's why I use the metaphors of a clock face or the planet moving from 3 o'clock to 12 and others that I've used. By the way, just as a reference, one last reference point, yes, we're going to be entering the fourth dimension, but we're not going to do it alone. We're going to have help from the people of Niia, who are actually direct relatives to the people in the Hindu Kush region of India. And we're also going to have help from people from 4 planets that are affiliated with the Andromeda Council that, from what I understand, in relatively short time, they're going to be touching down and very, very quietly landing and visiting with people of Earth. So we can talk about that in the next discussion as well.
Very good. Well, just in this remaining minute or so, do you have a parting thought or thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience? And once again, where people can access the Andromeda Council's information online.
Okay. I'll address that question first. Thanks for asking. It's AndromedaCouncil.com, so www.andromeda, ANDROMEDA, the word council, COUNCIL.com. And in terms of closing thoughts, live your lives, spend special time with your family and your friends, do the things that you enjoy, care about the people that you care about, be kind to people, and pay attention. If you're people who like to read the news and follow topics like this, read it all. Ask as many questions as you can, and then I guess discern for yourselves, what's right for you. That's, I think, more than anything else. pay attention to those things that speak to you the loudest, and discern for yourselves what is right for you. That's the best. That's the only thing we can do in life, really. And that's nothing too more philosophical than that. That's about it.
Very good. Well, Tolek, once again, thank you very much for bringing us into this understanding that you yourself are being brought into.
Alfred, thank you. It's been an amazing and humbling ride for me, and I kind of feel blessed to be part of this whole experience, and I actually feel honored to be able to share the information. So I'm glad I can help in any way that I can.
Amen.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Certainly.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.